Mark Sears and Jaron Stevenson both returning to Alabama. Your reaction first, LT, on Mark Sears coming back?
Well, you got an All-American coming back, and I really don't know. Not a surprise to me. I've said it for the last couple of months. I believe his best option is to come back, make NIL money, build off that Final Four run. He was an All-American last year. He's going to be a preseason first-team All-American. Alabama's going to be a preseason top-5 team, and he is a major cog. If he doesn't come back, I don't think the expectation is this team could possibly win a national championship. With him back, they are one of the favorites to win the national championship, and I think it's great for him. He said he wants to work on being a defensive standout. He wants to work on being more of a vocal leader, and he wants to win a national championship. Saying all the right things. He tested the waters. He decided to come back. Not surprised.
Again, I think in this world of athletics, and to me, this is one of the upsides of NIL. A lot of people don't like NIL, and I get that. But this is one of the upsides to me. This is risk-free for him. I mean, what is the risk in him coming back? I mean, I don't think there is one. I mean, you're going to make more money at Alabama than you would have made in the developmental league.
People would say injury, but you can get injured, if he's playing in the G League.
Yep, he can get injured in the G League. He can also get insurance against an injury. I mean, I don't know what the downside is based on what we probably think he'll make NIL money-wise, far more than what he would have made in a G League situation. He was not a guaranteed first rounder. He's not going to be guaranteed to be picked in the first round. So there was there's not necessarily a guarantee of a contract. You are guaranteed money at Alabama. I don't know what you could do to hurt your stock. And I mean, again, he's the thing that he could do best is grow 2 inches. Yeah, he's not going to do that.
Yeah,
at
the
Alabama,
unfortunate thing is he's not going to grow.
I know. I mean, so what's your risk right now?
The release that went out and the way everyone was reporting 6'1", Mark Sears.
I saw that.
Is he 6'1"?
No, he is not. That's not what he measured.
He measured it 5, much like you, 5'10" inches.
Yeah, when I saw 6'1", Mark Sears, I was like, he did grow.
Yeah.
No wonder he was getting good feedback. He said he was getting good feedback.
There's a mic on
back there.
Rock star. Yeah, we got somebody sneezing.
Yeah, look, if he was 6'1",
bless you, by the way,
he would be in this draft. And I think he would be back into the first round. That's what's so weird about this, like how an inch or two can make that big of a difference.
Yeah, at some point he'll get a shot. He worked out with the Bucks yesterday. He says he got good feedback. Averaged 21 points a game. Jaron Stevenson came back. There was belief at one point yesterday that Stevenson could stay in the draft because you're drafting on potential. He's got NBA size, and some people would take him and as a project, somebody who'd be good in 2 years or something. But he's coming back as well. So 13 strong. That roster is loaded. Like we talked to Justin Hokanson yesterday about Auburn. Loaded, versatile. And I took a swing at a starting 5 last night.
For Auburn?
For Alabama.
I've got one, too. I want to see how we match up.
And,
I didn't see your video.
And it's impossible. It's impossible to come up with a starting 5.
I feel good about mine.
Oh, I think it is possible. I think I know the starting 5.
Okay. You go first. Tell me if it's starting 5 out.
I will go with Grant Nelson.
Okay, he was in mine.
Cliff Amorier.
Big Cliff is in mine.
Ryland Griffin.
No longer on the team.
No longer on the team.
Then he's not.
So Lance is out.
Chris Youngblood.
Yeah.
Chris Youngblood was not on mine. That was the one that everyone, when they watched my video.
Sears and Wrightsell. That'll be my 5.
Yeah. I went Sears, I went Wrightsell, and then I left open. I was like, Sears, maybe he's, runs a 2. Nate likes to run 2-point guards out there. He could be 1 point. You could have a true point guard out there. Rothstein threw in Aiden Holloway.
I'd be surprised at that.
Yeah, I feel better about I feel better about Youngblood.
Sears and Youngblood. Youngblood was the co-AAC Player of the Year.
I'd go Sears, Youngblood, Wrightsell, Nelson, big dog.
Yeah, everyone was like, Wrightsell's not going to be a starter. He'd be off the bench. Sixth guy.
I don't know.
First guy off the bench.
The way that guy can shoot.
Yeah.
And Nate Oats loves him. And he's the only thing he did to lose playing time was get injured. I mean, he did not play his way out of the lineup. He just injured his way out of the lineup.
Brody says Sears, Youngblood, Reed, Nelson, and Big Cliff down low there. Daniel says Wrightsell will start. I saw one scenario where it's all fifth-year seniors that start. I mean, it'd be one of the oldest teams that you could put on the floor possibly.
Yeah.
But they do have 3 big recruits that are coming in that you factor into the rotation. Much like yesterday, Hoke was saying he thinks this is Bruce Pearl's most versatile lineup with 3 returning starters at Auburn, and the guys they have coming in that he thinks they can. Last year they sort of did line shifts and played 10 deep. Thinks they can move parts around and be more versatile this year. I mean, Nate Oats has 13. I mean, who are going to be the guys doing the 3 goggles and shooting the bow and arrows at the end of the bench? I mean, you've got 13 scholarship guys who all could be starters.
Yeah, the walk-ons. Those guys, I mean, you got to have a scout team.
Nate's biggest challenge is going to be getting these guys to buy into limited minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, guys like Nelson and Sears, they're going to get their minutes. Amorie is going to get his minutes. But the other guys, you know, the other 2-3 guys, they're going to have to figure out that rotation. And if a guy's only playing 10 or 12 minutes, but he's contributing and they're winning basketball games and possibly winning a championship, if you can get those guys to buy into that mentality, that's going to be the biggest challenge.
You know, it's funny on Stevenson. I talked to somebody last night, a friend of mine last night that is now – I'm not pretending he's close to the Stevenson family, and he's not suggesting that, but he's close to the situation is what I would say. And he was like, what I'm about to say is going to – because he said, you saw Sears is coming back. I know you're off the show today. And I was like, yeah, I did see that. And he says, so I guess they're waiting on Stevenson. And I said, well, he's got to come back, right? He's not going to get drafted. He's like, you know, I normally would agree with you, but there are a lot of people kind of around him. And he goes, this sounds crazy, but they think he'll get more playing time in the G League than he would at Alabama.
Yeah.
And I was like, that does sound crazy.
No,
but it's not the craziest thing I've ever heard when you start thinking about it.
Well, as a freshman, he averaged a little over 16 minutes per game. I mean, how much more is that going to go up this year?
And that was the point he made. He didn't have the number, but he's got go look at what his average minutes were this year. Do you think he'll have more this coming season? I was like, I can't swear that he would. No.
My question would be: is Sears on the floor more this year? I mean, or the same?
Well, he can't be on more.
Yeah, I mean, he played 38 minutes in some, 36 minutes in most.
He went a full 40 in some. Yeah.
I mean, is he going to do that again this year?
I don't think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. More platooning as the season goes on to be fresher at the end.
I think you could see Nate Oats maybe buy Sears with a talented guard like Aiden Holloway. Changes your offense a little bit, right? He's not the scorer Sears is, but he can capably run the point and feed the ball.
There's going to be some games at Alabama I think will have a comfortable lead.
Maybe so.
And then I think Sears gets minutes, gets some rest at the end of some of those games. But I think in tight games, I think he's going to be playing 36, 38 minutes.
If you got a dead ball at the 9-minute mark, and you know I got a media timeout coming to the under 8, that might be a time where you get Holloway in to get a minute or two while Sears gets a rest. For that minute and the TV timeout.
But how's that going to make Holloway happy?
Well, there's no promise of happiness in this world. You got to earn your spots out there. And Aiden Holloway is not as good as the rest of the guys we mentioned.
Biggest challenge in transfer portal times is getting these guys minutes and making them happy. And all these guys aren't going to get the minutes they want, so they're going to have to buy into a team concept.
Crazy to think that Alabama basketball has better odds to win the national championship than the football team does this upcoming season.
It's insane.
Checking live this morning.
It's got to be close.
With our friends at MyBookie, Alabama basketball plus 1,200 to win the national championship. Alabama football plus 1,400 to win the national championship. So technically Blake is right. Alabama basketball better odds to win the national championship than Alabama football now.
If you put me in Vegas and I had to pick one, I would take Alabama football plus 14.
You'd still do that?
I would.
Just because of the value, or you just have more faith in it?
Just because it's so difficult to do, and I've seen one. I haven't seen the other. You're getting a ton of value. Again, if this is Nick Saban, I think the number's only 5-1. I know it is different with DeBoer, but DeBoer wins. But that is amazing. That's much like when we saw for a minute Mark Godfrey was higher paid than Mike Shula. Something you never thought you would see.
Let's do Michael Southern, who follows basketball very closely at Alabama. Excitement for basketball in the state has exceeded the mid-'80s, which I always considered the gold standard until now. Basketball fans in Alabama used to dream about things like this. Now it's a reality. Think about this. And I've looked already this morning. Gary Parrish's top 25 plus one after the deadline pullouts in the NBA yesterday has Alabama and Auburn both as top 10 schools. In the AP poll next year, very, very easily at some point, Alabama and Auburn both could be in the AP top 10 at the same time. I can't remember both of them being that good at the same time.
I think you could make the argument, and I don't even think it's that far-fetched argument. In fact, I almost would say it as a matter of fact rather than just make an argument, but I guess it is open for debate. This is the best roster Alabama has had and the best coach Alabama has had. And I think you could also make the one I'm less concrete on is the best roster Auburn has ever had, though I think it is. And I know it's the best coach Auburn has ever had. So you've got that at the same time. You've got Alabama's best roster of all time, best coach of all time. You've got potentially Auburn's best roster of all time. Now, Sonny had some good ones in the 80s.
Yeah, and it's, I mean,
but
just a couple of
definitely
years ago
Auburn's
with
best coach of all time.
Jabari and Kessler together.
I know. And then there's the Cliff Ellis team. You know, you had Chris Porter. I just don't know that you had the depth on that team that you've got on this one. So that's
Scotty Poland, though.
You did have Scotty Poland, Rockstar's favorite Auburn player of all time.
Britney Spears is going to go to Auburn to date him. Remember? That was the rumor.
Was that the rumor?
Yeah, she was going to attend Auburn, and she had a crush on Scotty Pullman.
Who
was
didn't?
that true?
I'm going to say no, but you know, it was probably on the board at the time. I mean, of those four, the only one I'm up for argument on is Auburn's best roster of all time, but it's certainly in the discussion. So think about that. At the same time, Auburn and Alabama probably have their best roster ever and definitely have their best coaches ever.
That tweet was well put from Michael, though, because if you go back 2006 to 2018, combined Alabama-Auburn, they had one tournament appearance. From 06 to 18, more than a decade, one combined tournament appearance.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
From 2006 to 2018, Alabama and Auburn combined for one big dance appearance.
Auburn appeared in 2003, didn't appear again until 2015. Alabama appeared in 2006, didn't appear again until 2018.
I think kids will never understand how dark Auburn basketball got.
Well, and Alabama did too,
It
based
did.
on Alabama standards
Wow.
from the days of Wimp Sanderson.
It did, but I mean,
But that's crazy. Now, if one of these teams misses the tournament, it's a complete disaster. Like, do you see any path? I mean, with the depth both of these teams have. I mean,
even a key injury wouldn't scare me. Like if Sears, and I'm just using this because it's probably their two most accomplished players, Sears and Broom, if both of them got hurt.
they're still both tournament
I
teams.
still think both of them can make a tournament. Easy.